Welcome to Ms.Carmina Reads. This is my channel. I am Ms. Carmina and I'm going to read live today. We're going to continue reading Gateway to the Epicureans, Epicurus, Lucretius, and their modern heirs. Let's see where we left off last time. We actually did finish the chapter. It was a struggle, but we did it. Last time we read David Hume, An Inquiry Concerning Human Understanding from 1948, section 11 of a particular providence and of a future state. So we finished that. And this time we are reading John Adams, Letter to John Rogers, February 6, 1801. Let us begin. First of all, we have a paragraph written by Spencer A. Klavan, right there. In italics, which reads, the following two letters underscore how intensely America's forefathers discussed the philosophies of the Hellenistic schools, which they took to be serious contenders for the soul of their new nation. Adams sounds a lot like his role model, Cicero, in his contempt for all things Epicurean. By contrast, Jefferson's summary of his own beliefs neatly illustrates Adams' point that some variety of Epicureanism is recognizably the default position, is recognizably the default position of many moderns. Oh, and did I already say I'm Ms. Carmina? Welcome. This is Ms. Carmina Reads Live. I'm reading Gateway to the Epicureans. Please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe so you can see me again, and any type of help and support that you want to send my way is deeply appreciated. So share this channel, like this video, like my other videos. I am just so glad that you're here. And the letter begins. Dear Sir, I thank you for your kind letter of January 31st. If the judiciary bill should pass, as I hope it will cost me much anxiety and diligence to select the characters such as you describe to fill the offices, and I am obliged to you and to all other friends of their country who favor me with their advice and assistance in discharging that important duty. I have a personal regard for Mr. Bayard, and his father has been long my friend, but I can make no promise, nor give any encouragement until all the candidates are before me, and I have taken time to weigh their qualifications and merits. I have no doubt he deserves the handsome character you give him, the character of an enemy to the fatal philosophy of the day. Has great weight with me, although it appears to have none with our nation. But I shall not dilate on this head. It behoves all men to consider whether that intelligence and piety and virtue in the great body of the people, upon which we have all acknowledged our whole security to depend, has not failed our expectations and disappointed all our hopes. We in this age are more fortunate in one respect than the ancient Gentiles. Among them the philosophers were divided into numerous sects, the followers of Socrates, of Plato, of Pythagoras, and of Zeno, as well as of Epicurus. All the former had a mixture of good morals, manly virtues, and true opinions among their errors, and all of them served to counterpoise and counteract the poisonous, pestilential, and most fatal doctrine of Epicurus. The Portico, for example, produced men like the Catos, Cicero, Seneca, Brutus, Epicurus, and others who were saints in comparison to Caesar and Anthony. But our modern philosophers are all the low grovelling disciples of Epicurus. Not one Stoic, no Platonician among them. Where then are we going? Are we all to become Epicuri de grege porci? There is one thing, my dear doctor, which has given me much uneasiness. How can it have happened that such great numbers of our good friends, the Presbyterians, have become the advocates, disciples, and voters, if not votaries, of the great doctors of Epicurean philosophy? But I have written a tedious letter when I intend only to have acknowledged your favor. With much esteem, I am, sir, your friend and humble servant. That is a tedious letter. It was supposed to only say thank you. All right. Giovanni Verdusco and everybody else that's joining me on this read, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Remember to give me a thumbs up so that I know you liked it. Subscribe so you can see me again. Next, we're going to read. Let me see if I have enough time to read this. Yes, I think I can. Okay. Homo Wang, you sent me a chili. Thank you. Thank you for the chili. Now we're gonna read another letter. Thomas Jefferson, letter to William Short, October 31st, 1819. And let's see what it says. Dear sir, your favor of the 21st is received. My late illness, in which you are so kind as to feel an interest, was produced by spasmodic stricture of the ilium, which came upon me on the 7th inst. The crisis was short, passed over favorably on the 4th day, and I should soon have been well, but that a dose of calomel and jalap, in which were only 8 or 9 grains of the former, brought on salivation. Of this, however, nothing now remains but a little soreness of the mouth. I have been able to get on horseback for 3 or 4 days past. As you say of yourself, I too am an Epicurean. I consider the genuine, not the imputed, doctrines of Epicurus as containing everything rational in moral philosophy which Greece and Rome have left us. Epictetus, indeed, has given us what was good of the Stoics, all beyond of their dogmas, being hypocrisy and grimace. Their great crime was in their calumnies of Epicurus, and misrepresentations of his doctrines, in which we lament to see the candid character of Cicero engaging as an accomplice. The merit of his philosophy is in the beauties of his style, diffuse, vapid, rhetorical, but enchanting. His prototype, Plato, eloquent as himself, dealing out mysticism incomprehensible to the human mind, has been deified by certain sects usurping the name of Christians, because in his foggy conceptions they found a basis of impenetrable darkness whereon to rear fabrications as delirious of their own intention. These they feathered blasphemously on him whom they claimed as their founder, but who would disclaim them with the indignation which their caricatures of his religion so justly excite. Of Socrates we have nothing genuine but the memorabilia of Xenophon, for Plato makes him one of his collocutors, merely to cover his own whimsies under the mantle of his name, a liberty of which we are told Socrates himself complains. Seneca is indeed a fine moralist, disfiguring his work at times with some stoicism and affecting too much of antithesis and point, yet giving us on the whole a great deal of sound and practical morality. But the greatest of all the reformers of the depraved religion of his own country was Jesus of Nazareth, abstracting what is really his from the rubbish in which it is buried, easily distinguished by its luster from the dross of his biographers, and as separable from that as the diamond from the dunghill. We have the outlines of a system of the most sublime morality which has ever fallen upon the lips of man, outlines which it is lamentable he did not live to fill up. Epicurus and Epictetus and Epicurus give us laws governing ourselves, Jesus a supplement of the duties and charities we owe to others, the establishment of the innocent and genuine characters of this benevolent moralist, and the rescuing it from the imputations of imposture which has resulted from artificial systems invented by ultra-Christian sects, unauthorized by a single word ever uttered by him, is a most desirable object, and one to which Priestley has successfully devoted his labors and learning. It would in time, it is to be hoped, effect a quiet euthanasia of the heresies of bigotry and fanatism, which have so long triumphed over human reason, and so generally and deeply afflicted mankind. But this work is to be begun by winnowing the grain from the chaff of the historians of his life. I have sometimes thought of translating Epictetus, for he has never been tolerably translated into English, or of adding the genuine doctrines of Epicurus from the Syntagma of Gassendi, and an abstract from the Evangelists of whatever has the stamp of the eloquence and fine imagination of Jesus. The last I attempted too hastily some 12 or 15 years ago. It was the work of 2 or 3 nights only at Washington, after getting into the evening task of reading the letters and papers of the day. But with one foot in the grave, these are now idle projects for me. My business is to beguile the wearisomeness of declining life, as I endeavor to do by the delights of classical reading and the mathematical truths, and by the consolidations of a sound philosophy equally indifferent to hope and fear. I take the liberty of observing that you are not a true disciple of our master Epicurus, in indulging the indolence to which you say you are yielding. One of his canons, was, quote, that indulgence which prevents the greater pleasure or produces a greater pain is to be avoided, unquote. Your love of response will lead, in its progress, to a suspension of healthy exercise, a relaxation of mind, and an indifference to everything around you, and finally, to debility of body and inhibitude of mind. The farthest of all things from the happiness which the well-regulated indulgences of Epicurus ensure. Fortitude, is one of his 4 cardinal virtues. That teaches us to meet and surmount difficulties, not to fly from them like cowards, and to fly too in vain, for they will meet and arrest us at every turn of our road. Weigh this matter well. Brace yourself up. Take a seat with Correa, and come and see the finest portion of your country, which, if you have not forgotten, you still do not know, because it is no longer the same as when you knew it. It will add much to the happiness of my recovery to be able to receive Correa and yourself, and to prove the estimation in which I hold you both. Come to and see our incipient university, which has advanced with great activity this year. By the end of the next, we shall have elegant accommodations for 7 professors, and the year following, the professors themselves. No secondary character will be received among them, either the ablest which America or Europe can furnish, or none at all. They will give us the selected society of a great city separated from the dispassions and the levities of its ephemeral insects. I am glad the bust of Condorcet has been saved and so well placed. His genius should be before us, while the lamentable but singular act of ingratitude which tarnished his later days may be thrown behind us. I will place under this a syllabus of the doctrines of Epicurus, somewhat in the lapidary style, which I wrote some 20 years ago. Like one of the philosophy of Jesus, of nearly the same age, is too long to be copied. Veo et tibi persuade carissum et SME. And then we have the syllabus of doctrines of Epicurus, which I'm not going to read. And that's going to be it for today, y'all. Thank you for reading with me. Thank you for showing up. I love you. Be safe. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want.